So thank you for joining us. I'm Talia, owner of TK Real Estate Group, broker and owner. This is Wahid.
From Cornerstone, First Mortgage.
Yes, yes, yes. And we are here to talk about the home buying process. Am I in a good? I want to start with pre-approvals because there's an ongoing debate in the industry about should you get a real estate agent first or should you go to a lender first. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter. I do prefer that my clients work with my preferred lenders, but I will work with whatever lender they bring. So I'm going to let him talk about that pre-approval process, and then we'll continue.
Hello, I'm Wahid from Cornerstone First Mortgage. A little bit about myself. I've been doing mortgages since 2011. So, I kind of got in after all the 2008 stuff and all the new regulations. So I know the guidelines to a T with these mortgages, which is very important. You want to go with someone that has a lot of experience in what they do. And with that experience comes the pre-approval. The pre-approval is the most important part in knowing what you are approved for and not wasting people's time, nor the agent, nor anyone, and not yourself as well. There's a lot of forms that we do collect in this pre-approval. As you see on the slideshow, we collect your income, your pay stubs, your W-2s. If you're a business owner, we collect your business tax returns. We get your driver's license, social security card. We collect all that information. We run your credit score. And with that information, your credit score all put together, we pull that in and we come up with a debt to income ratio. What the debt to income ratio is how much you make gross monthly income versus how much all your expenses are and how much the monthly payment is on your mortgage. That helps us determine how much of a home you could buy, which in turn gives you your pre-approval, which you bring to your realtor, and then you can start shopping for a home. I think the most important takeaway for the pre-approval process is actually giving your documents to someone and not just letting someone take their word for it. I see a lot of people get under contract and then all of a sudden they're denied or they're looking for someone like me to fix the scenario. You never want that to happen. You want to definitely do your due diligence, get your documents in, and get pre-approved the right way. Back to you.
To his point about, it just, for some reason you have to keep it. To his point about a lot of clients coming to you with a pre-approval, but then they go through the process and then they can't close. It's because they're working with a lender that barely took any documents from them. They may have ran the credit and they may have just went off of their word in terms of what their income is. So we go through the process, we get under contract, and then we turn around and find out they can't close because financials aren't together. So that's one of the, I think, the biggest caveats with getting to the closing table. That's why we, as an experienced agent, would prefer the client to work with their team because we know that our lenders can close. We have experience with them. We have a synergy. We've worked together. So it creates a smoother process. So if you do end up going to a lender first, you're going to be looking for a real estate agent next. So one of the things that these are key factors you're going to consider. One of them would be you want to know if the agent is knowledgeable about the market that you're interested in, because now we are licensed in the state, but obviously the state is huge, right? So we only focus on certain areas. So you want to make sure that that agent is knowledgeable about the area that you're looking to purchase in. Also, do they have your best interests at heart? Synergy, vibe, you want to go off how you feel. Do you guys have a connection? That's very important. And you want to obviously check reviews, whether there are other clients saying about them. And if it's a new agent, that's fine. You want to maybe look into what people are saying about their brokers or their brokerage or, other agents at their brokerage. So you can kind of just get an idea of what you're getting into. Another key factor is do they work full-time in the industry? Now, it's not to say that someone that works part-time can't do just as good of a job, but you want to have that conversation. If they don't work part-time, if they don't work full-time, excuse me, you want to at least talk to them and say, figure out if they get a feel from them, if they're dedicated, what that's going to look like, what they can expect what you can expect from them, and what you expect from them as well. Do they have vast experience with different transactions? Again, if there's a new agent, it's okay because their broker is going to be helping them through that transaction. So maybe does their broker have experience with that specific type of transaction, that loan, that type that they're getting? Maybe they want to look for multifamily. So are they familiar with those type of transactions and closing on those type of homes? Also, do their communication style align with yours? This is important. What I do with my clients after having a consultation, the initial consultation where I find out if they're pre-approved and we kind of work out the preliminary kinks, the next time I meet with them is usually Zoom if it's not in person, because I kind of want to develop a rapport, right? So in that conversation, I'm always asking not only what you can expect from me, but I want to know what you're expecting from me. How often do you want to talk to me? How often do you want updates? So you want to make that make sure that communication style aligns with yours. Right? Anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay. All right. Now, once you've gotten pre-approved and you found your real estate agent, now hopefully they'll onboard you. Hopefully that's a part of their process. So you're onboarded now, and now you're ready to look for a home. So define your desired housing criteria. So here's some key points you should think about. Separate your priorities from your negotiables. You want to be clear on what's necessary and what's a preference. Just go off the basics. Don't start talking about you want, pools and skylights and all of these things. Stay with the basics and kind of move out from there. Be reasonable with your top priorities and try to narrow them down between 3 and 5 features. So start there, and like I said, build out. And then you maybe want to be open to adjusting your wish list, because the more criteria you have, the more specificities, the narrower your search is going to be. So we want to make sure you're seeing as many homes as possible. At least we're exposed to as many homes as possible, and then we can do a process of elimination as we go down that list. And then you want to focus on factors that you can't easily change. Foundation. You can change the paint. You can change tiles. So you don't want to get, too stuck on cosmetics. You're laughing because yes. Yeah. So that's pretty much, so that helps us curate your search. Sorry.
During this process, you guys talk about the pre-approval amount. Is that important?
Yes. Well, not before this process. Once you're pre-approved, that's why you have to get pre-approved first, because that tells us what your budget is. So in curating this search, we already have a budget. But a knowledgeable agent this is a good question. A knowledgeable agent is going to tell you, let's say you have a $500,000 pre-approval, but your area of interest is Short Hills. We're talking about Jersey, right? That knowledgeable agent is going to give you information about the industry, the market. Hey, so 500 is not really going to buy you much in Short Hills. So you have to have that conversation. So that's a part of, yes. That's a part of this conversation, setting up your priorities. You may say, I want a house with a pool. And that's not to say you can't get one, because in Teaneck you maybe can get a house for about $600 with a pool, but in Short Hills you can't. So that's a part of that. As you're setting your criteria, once we know what you want, how big of a house, how many rooms, how many bedrooms, all of that is going to play into your budget as well. So that's a part of that conversation. Good question, Tank. With $2, right? So now let's say we've found out, we've set up our criteria, and we've gone on some showings, and now we found the house that you love, or that you can love, or that you're going to love, or you're going to make to love, because it doesn't have to be your dream home. Your first home doesn't have to be your dream home. And now we're ready to make an offer. So here's some things you want to. Now your agent, obviously your real estate agent is going to be guiding you, and this is really where they're going to show their skill. But this is just obvious good knowledge for you to have. We're going to be going through the CMA, which is a comparative marketing analysis, which is a report that in which we pull the most recent sales and we compare them. Most recent sales for the similar size housing and most recent sales for same size housing, and within a certain radius. So we don't like to go any over a mile out. preferably a half a mile and under, but sometimes you can't find sales, and that's you can go up to a mile out. So we're going to pull those sales, and then we're going to compare them just to make sure that we are being competitive, right? So we don't want to insult the seller, right? But we want to make sure we're being competitive, and we also want to make sure that we are leaving room for negotiations, right? So unless you have cash to add, if you have cash to add to the purchase, then if you have a pre-approval for 500 and it's listed for 500, we could be a little bit aggressive because you may say, listen, I have an extra 30 to put towards the purchase, right? So, okay, we can maybe put our offer in for 5 then. You know we have that 30,000 wiggle room. But if you didn't have the cash and your pre-approval was for 500, we're not going to be searching for homes at that $500,000 mark. We need that room for pre-approval. I don't care what kind of market we're in, right? So it's just a good rule of thumb. We want to be clear and reasonable with our terms. Now, your agent is going to give you some, detail on this. We're going to, depending on what type of deal it is, if there's multiple offers, many different things affect this, but we're going to be putting terms into the deal or into the offer that's going to protect your interests, but also be a little bit attractive to the seller, right? So, short closing time. That's another reason why we like to work with our team, because my lender is going to tell me we can close in 20 days. That's something we're putting in the offer, and that's attractive to the seller, right? So, but like I said, it depends on the deal because this seller may need 2 months to buy a new home. So maybe in that deal, a quick closing is not. So it all is going to depend on the components of the deal and also what the seller is looking for and what's most important to them. And obviously, most importantly, trust your real estate agent's guidance. Yeah. They're knowledgeable. You should trust them. If you hired them, you should trust them. All right, now we've made our offer and it's accepted. Yay.
That's my time. That's when I take over.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So I said I was going to bring you in because this is kind of like where the lender comes back in. Aside from in New Jersey, it's an attorney state. So once our offer is accepted, we go into attorney review. That is a time period. Usually we like it to be 3 days, but it's not always 3 days. Sometimes it goes longer depending on if there's back and forth negotiations about the terms in the contract. So we're going to go into attorney review, and once we're in attorney review, now the attorney's going to take over, and they're going to be talking to my client, whatever the client, and they're going to be discussing the terms of the contract. Make sure you're fully aware what you're signing to when you sign this contract. Now, at the end of attorney review, once it's over, once both parties agree, the buyer and the seller, through their attorneys, you guys never talk. You'll be speaking through your attorneys. And once that's over, then they will require deposit of the earnest money. So you're going to deposit that, and they usually have a time frame. They need it in 7 days or something like that. So you're going to comply, whether it's, if you're going to mail the check, then you want to do that earlier. If you're going to do a wire, you just want to make sure you're done within that time period that the attorney set. And now your lender is going to be on your body.